Nityanandam, and welcome to one more glimpse into the Mahasadashivoham Hall. And I'm here with one of my good friends who's also a Sadashivoham graduate and Mahasadashivoham participant, Vinesh. So Vinesh, why don't you introduce yourself? Where are you from? What do you do?
So yeah, I'm from San Jose, California. I'm an attorney. My encounter with Swamiji, my finding him, was a really circuitous route. It's not something that I ever expected in my life to happen, but I was always spiritual growing up as a child and as a teenager and stuff, but I never followed any masters, never followed any organized religion paths. I was raised Hindu, so I saw pujas, I saw different, I saw different ceremonies performed occasionally, but it was never like a daily thing for me, right? I read books, I was into philosophy and religion and all those things, right? But again, it was more an intellectual journey. It was never really like a lifestyle for me, right? So that through college I had that cognition of studying spirituality and all those things. But ultimately, after college, I kind of decided, let me just pursue the material path. Let me just be ambitious and
you were successful in that, right?
Yeah, totally. So I majored in computer science. I was an engineer. Worked at IBM for 4 years, so I had a good career in software. I decided to go to law school after that.
Wow.
After graduating from law school, I worked at a firm, and then worked at Google for actually 8 years as an attorney there. So I was doing the tech law thing for a while. There was a period around 2012 where I realized I had everything in life possible. I had an amazing job. I had an amazing wife. We went on vacations. We go to Napa Valley and collect wine and all kinds of stuff, right? I checked all the boxes of material existence. I was I had it all. But then this hollow feeling came inside me, and I was like, is this it? There's got to be more. Is it just more of this? More making money? More collecting wine? More going on vacations? There's got to be more, right? So I had this intense seeking phase in 2012. And I was watching, it was mostly on YouTube. It was my YouTube Yatra phase, I call it, where I was watching different masters, watching different videos, studying different theories and different concepts. And the 2012 phenomena was really fascinating to me. So many cultures were talking about this shift taking place in human consciousness. And I felt it. I was like, there's got to be some shift taking place. This makes so much sense because the world is so dark right now. It's such a corrupt and negative place where it's almost like evil was always, rewarded. And you see the people who are up top are the worst people, And so I felt really demoralized by what I saw in the material world, but this shift idea made a lot of sense to me, right? And it was through kind of on YouTube I kind of found one video led to another, and another, and another, and eventually I found a video by Swamiji talking about 2012, and everything he was saying made so much sense. And it wasn't just the ideas though; it was the way he presented them. I never saw a master present ideas that were so authentic and so traditional, yet so modern and accessible too.
I remember that video. Was it Truth Not Fact?
Truth Not Prophecy.
Truth Not Prophecy, sorry.
Yeah.
Because he talks about illusion, fact, truth, and reality. And I remember he introduced that concept in this, Truth, not,
And everything resonated. I mean, and what was strange was that usually with other masters, I would watch them, and there were some things I liked and some things that I didn't like.
Yes.
Some things I found they were diluted, some things that I found were maybe illogical.
Yeah.
But with Swamiji, the more I watched, the more I couldn't find a single flaw.
Even as a lawyer, you couldn't find an argument against him.
Even as an engineer turned lawyer, the most logical guy possible.
Yes.
I was finding that everything he was saying made total sense.
Our friend Balaji calls you the doctor of jurisprudence.
Yes.
Giving you an honorary doctorate.
That's right. Yes, I'm very proud of it.
And he's Harvard educated. So
Exactly. High praise.
Anyhow, so that you watched the 2012 video, and how did you come to decide to actually follow Swamiji physically to be here?
So that's a funny story because I, again, never followed any masters before, never followed any organized spiritual path at all, But I watched that video and it led to more videos, and then I saw a video where he mentioned that there's a cruise taking place in December 2012 when the shift was taking place.
Yes.
And he said this is the right place with the right person at the right time.
Yes.
And logically, it made no sense to me, but at my being level, I was like, I need to be there.
Wow.
I don't know why, but I've just got to be there.
Yes.
And it wasn't something that I could rationalize at all, but it's just a strong, pull, right? And my family was like, what are you doing? You're gonna follow this master for 21 days, and I got so much grief from them, thinking even my brother-in-law, who was a cardiologist, a typical arrogant doctor type, right? He was like, I thought you were smart, Vinesh. What are you smoking in California? What are you doing over there? Going to the master, right? Now, funny story, I got him to come to IA in 2014.
Wow.
He's a sincere devotee now.
Wow.
So total shift.
Actually, Swamiji is the avatar for doctors, lawyers, engineers, CEOs, politicians. If I turn this camera around, which I'm not going to, because we don't have consent from everyone here. But if I turned this camera around, you would see a hall full of 800 VIPs. Basically, everyone following Swamiji is successful. And what you were describing, Vinesh, it reminds me of what people call the depression of success. It's like suddenly you realize all the goals you jumped into life so enthusiastic to achieve, you've achieved, then what? And when you don't have an answer for then what, you feel this huge emptiness, this pull, like, I have to fill this with something. There has to be something more. And especially the way you described seeing the way the world is structured, who gets power is not the most well-equipped to serve people, but the greediest and the most cunning who can fool people. And basically what Swamiji calls the Maya Matrix.
Yeah.
So you attended the 2012 Cruise IA, then you brought your brother-in-law in 2014, and now he's a devotee.
Yep.
What was the biggest transformation you see in Swamiji and in the program from 2012 to Mahasadashivam 2017?
Oh my God, where to begin? Like, it's
I know,
it's
right?
like every year is like it's so
Welcome to
different.
my world.
Yeah, he's constantly evolving and expanding, and he's just exploring new possibilities. And what's really cool is that he's becoming more and more authentic. Like he's not getting more like modern or diluted in any way. Actually, he's becoming more traditional to like the actual core Hindu principles and concepts, and rediscovering the culture. Like for me, having been born Hindu and being raised Hindu, but not being that aware of my culture in so many ways, I feel like I'm learning for the first time here, and it's a really beautiful experience because that's when I started reading like the Hindu kind of scriptures and philosophies as a student, I remember thinking, wow, what an advanced civilization! What happened?
Yes.
Like what went wrong?
Yeah. A lot of people, we hear about vimanas and open heart surgery and head transplants. My God, like what medical procedures are described in the Vedas and the Agama.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's why people think it's science fiction.
Yeah, you literally had a whole civilization dedicated towards spiritual inquiry and towards like inquiring knowledge. It wasn't about conquest. It wasn't about dominating others. It was purely about achieving your full self, right? And achieving divinity and godhood, right? Yeah. And I was thinking, how do we get from there to here? Yeah. And reconciling that was so demoralizing and depressing to be raised in the Matrix.
Right.
And to see that and say, wait, there was a cognition before that we could be better, and now we're just like slaves. Now we're debt slaves, and we're fluoride and GMOs, and we're just completely suppressed. We're cattle, basically, right?
Yes, we're eating animals and getting unhealthy, getting diseased because of it.
Yeah.
And what we think we have to do to be healthy is actually hurting us, like 8 hours of sleep compulsory every night. Yeah.
It was only after I found Swamiji that I realized all these concepts that I read about he's making user-friendly again, he's making accessible again, he's making real again. Wow. And so suddenly I realized, wow, there's actually hope for the world. Yeah. And it's happening here and now, right? And the best metaphor I've heard for Swamiji's programs is it's a greenhouse for humanity.
Wow.
It's like, it's a cradle for new consciousness, right?
Yes.
And it feels like there's a new kind of humanity being born here in real time, right? And so that's why it's so exciting to be here and be part of that, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, Swamiji said that Mahasadashivoham is the program to move from human to superhuman, to become Superman or Superwoman, not the cartoon version, but meaning to have superpowers. And actually, the reason I felt Vinesh would be such a great example to set for all of you. The other night, I was on my way to a meeting, and all the other Mahasadashivoham participants had gone to bed. I was walking through the main hall on my way backstage, and I saw just one lone figure sitting and staring at an object on the floor, and that was Vinesh. And I asked him, like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Can I get you something? What are you doing here? And he said, no, I decided I'm not going to go to bed until I move this object with my third eye. And so that power, that Shakti, is called consciousness over matter. And I didn't even have to follow up with you. I heard the buzz. There were people saying, hey, Vinesh manifested it. He moved objects. He did it. He was up all night and he did it.
Yep.
So what this shows is will persistence to the highest degree, and also the power that it's real. See, some skeptics saw my mom's video. When she was moving a Rudraksha hairband.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So some people said, no, if you put any object on any screen surface, the screen emanates a vibration that makes the object move. Bullshit. It doesn't. It doesn't. He wouldn't have sat for so many hours with something on the screen trying. If anything just moved randomly, we wouldn't have some people who can do it, some people can't.
Yep.
It's only the people who use will persistence, who have been initiated, who follow the who follow the steps for the manifestation, who manifests his powers. So maybe you can share with us what happened.
Yeah. It was crazy because we were experiencing various powers here, and a lot of them are mental, right? There are things like remote viewing or things like that are more ephemeral, right?
Yeah.
But moving an object, you can't deny that. Like a logical person like me, there's no way you can explain why you can look at something and make it move. That's beyond what logic can explain right now, right? And so I decided, but that was one thing I couldn't do though. I was having no luck manifesting at all. It was like zero success. So one thing that Maha Yoga or our Acharya here had been telling us was that until something shifts inside you, you can't shift the thing outside of you. Right? And that made so much sense to me like, at a conceptual level. And I was like, let me just make that my reality and let me just not sleep until this happens, because usually I would compromise. Usually I would say, I gave it a shot. I spent 2 hours, didn't work out. I'll come back tomorrow. But then I realized I'm doing that in the rest of my life too.
Yeah.
There's so many places in my life where I'm like, I could be doing more, but I'm just gonna settle. I'll just I'll do it later. It's okay, So I said, let me break that cognition. Let me just do it now. Let me just
no procrastination. There's no
more.
Tomorrow.
It's gonna happen right now, and if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna sit here until it happens. I'm not gonna until this thing moves. I'm not gonna move.
Yes.
That was my kind of like my mantra, right?
Yeah.
And so I sat there. It was maybe like. Let's see, so I started around it was 11 o'clock or so. A few hours went by, a few more hours went by, and literally nothing moved. It was just static, right?
A few hours, people, I want you to hear that word. A few hours went by, and he is still sitting.
And during this time, though, I was really examining what was happening inside me, right?
Yeah.
And it was all kinds of negativity. It was like emotional churning. It was like frustration, sadness. I wanted consolation. I was just this feelings of like, oh man, nothing's working out for me. This sucks. Like, why is it working out for them and not for me? Like, what's wrong with me? It was just constant
self-pity, SDHD.
Total self-pity party.
Self-doubt, self-hatred, self-denial. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just this like extended period of just self-pity, and that went on till 5 a.m. So literally, I spent the entire night.
5 a.m.
Yeah. And
oh my God.
The one cool thing, though, what I will say is that while I was doing this, and I was just focusing on myself and watching myself, right? During that time, I didn't get tired at all. I wasn't sleepy at all. So
I saw that actually, because when I went for the meeting, you were sitting there.
Yeah.
When I came back from the meeting, you were sitting there.
Yeah.
When I came to set up the hall, you were sitting there. So I'm his witness.
And I'm an 8-hour sleep kind of guy. Like usually, I need my 7-8 hours, and I'm not going to function. I had that cognition I need to sleep, right? So I was like, silver lining is, maybe it didn't work out, but I didn't sleep, and that was cool. I broke that pattern,
You were wide awake.
So that was my consolation prize that I was telling myself about, right? But around 5 a.m., I said, let me just go there's a Kalabhairava deity at the gate of this, at the gate of Adinam. I said, let me go there, get his blessings, and I'll come back, and I'll just give it a shot, and I'll change the yoga clothes, and I'll call it a night,
Yeah.
So I went, did that, came back, and I sat one more time. And I did another half an hour, again, nothing, right? So finally I was like, all right, I'm calling it, this is not working out for me. Let me just pull up the kind of our Facebook group and see what everyone else is doing, And I watched a bunch of videos. And I watched, your mom's video, I watched, Vida Shoka's video, I watched everyone seeing what they were manifesting.
Yeah.
And instead of pitying myself, I started celebrating them.
Wow.
I started saying, look at what they're doing. How cool is that?
Wow.
And the more I did that, the more I felt good about it. I was liking their videos, I was commenting and stuff, right? And there was a shift in me. And the shift in me was that instead of worrying about my own suffering, my own problems, my own failure, I was celebrating their success.
Wow, that's huge.
And in the end, they're extensions of me. Like in our cognition, in our spirituality, what someone teaches us is that we're all part of one. It's all oneness. It's all Advaita, And we're all versions of each other, right? So if they can do it, that means I can do it too, right? So let me just celebrate their achievements instead of worrying about my own. That's nonsense. That's bullshit. The more you worry about yourself, you're just never gonna feel good about yourself, right?
The way Maha Yoga explained it, Swamiji said, and she repeated, as long as you're just worrying about what you're going to get from life, how much of a contribution others will make to you, you'll be shrinking. She said even if you hold a cell phone, the battery will drain faster than other people's cell phones. But the moment you decide, what can I contribute? How can I celebrate others? So even, liking and commenting on other people's social media posts, that's contributing to them. It's becoming more focused on everyone else. That's when you experience oneness with others and oneness even with the physical object.
Absolutely.
It's when we have oneness with the object we want to move through the third eye, the Shakti manifests. It listens
to you.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized that whole night that I realized, wow, my whole life I've been so selfish. I've been so self-focused, And it was only when I made that cognitive shift, and there wasn't much effort. It was literally
then
pushing
what
buttons.
happened?
It was like swiping and pushing buttons. That's all I did, right?
Yeah.
But it was a cognitive shift. And because I shifted myself, suddenly I tried again. I said, let me take this bottle cap and put it on the phone, and I'm going to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And literally, I watched it for 30 seconds. It shifted.
Wow.
And then 30 seconds later, it shifted back the other direction.
Wow.
And then I did this like 4 or 5 times. Enough times that I was like, this isn't just something sliding across the screen. This is an intelligent thing taking place here, right? And then it stopped for about 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
And so finally I was like, all right, maybe this is over now, maybe it passed, but still I had a breakthrough, right? But then I was like, Swamiji, give me one more piece of proof, just make it shift one more time. And boom, it happened again.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my God,
that is so cool.
What a blessing, you know?
I always thank Swamiji in moments like that in the video.
Exactly,
He's there right above us.
He's right
there.
With
his Anandaganda glowing.
That's right. It was all him happening through me,
yes,
you know?
of course.
And so it was me like not giving up, and it was also me just shifting my cognition to say, let me focus on others and not myself, and boom, it just happened just that.
How cool.
Yeah.
So which other powers have you manifested this time around?
So, actually today was pretty interesting too, because I, one thing we do is actually you measure pulses, you try to, detect the person's pulse.
Yes.
But there
without touching and counting, like by looking.
Just by looking.
Yeah.
But then they added a new dimension to it today where they said actually change the person's pulse.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right, I'm not sure if I'm going to change the person's pulse. We're just sitting here. We're not doing anything. We're just not moving at all. How is that going to change, right? Physiologically, it doesn't make sense, right?
No.
But I looked at my partner for about 10 seconds. His pulse went up by 11 beats per minute.
Wow.
Like that's margin of error. That isn't like one or two.
Huge. That's huge. That's a big change.
Yeah, and so it's like things
11 beats per second. Like at a hospital, they'd be panicking.
Yeah, exactly. They'd say, well, yeah, or if you're jogging,
maybe
if he's
stressed, but if he's just sitting there.
He's just sitting there. So that's again logically it makes no sense. But here we are doing these things, changing physiology just by a look.
Actually, I was talking earlier today with a lady. She's a mathematician. She actually has a school of mathematics.
Yeah.
And she's very scientifically minded. Her husband is he's an engineer.
Yeah.
He's going through about what your brother-in-law went through when you came for the first time.
Yes.
Saying, what have you been smoking? This is crazy. Why are you following a guru? But she herself is a skeptic.
Yeah.
She said for her yesterday she sat with somebody. While looking through the third eye, she remembered Swamiji said we can change somebody's hair color. She changed the strand of that person's hair from blonde to brown.
Wow.
Physically, she saw it happen. Then she just started to go into this huge feeling of shock and gratitude. She said, as a scientist, she knows if you change the hair color, there's a DNA sequence that causes the hair color. Yeah, it's not just dye is applied. The hair color is changed from inside the follicle. It's a change.
The DNA level change.
It's a DNA level change. She said the only person who can change the DNA is the person who created the DNA.
Wow.
Then she had a huge click about who is Swamiji, what is an avatar instead of just a Gurukul. This isn't like a game that we're playing here. This isn't just, guessing.
Yeah.
You can't guess, like, okay, I'm going to guess, God is going to make this one hair strand suddenly become brown. No, it doesn't work that way. We tune in a space of oneness. We become Sadashiva, who is greater than God. And we can change someone's DNA. That means Mahasadashivoham, only the one who created the DNA can change the DNA sequence.
Yep.
That means we're all Mahasadashiva.
And there's so many stories like that. So there was a lady over here, I was getting coffee, and I just happened to pass by her, and I heard something about her downloading Tamil, the language.
Yes! Same lady.
And
this is the same lady.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I heard that and I was like, oh my God, let me hear what's happening here, right?
Oh my God, it was so cool.
I went over to her and I was watching what was happening, right?
Yeah.
She's 5th generation out of India. She's been living in Africa for 5 generations.
Yes.
She's a Tamil heritage.
She was raised speaking Dutch and English and Afrikaans, which is like French-based. Oh, you tested her. Ma, come over here. This is so cool. Just spontaneously walking by. What's your name, Ma?
Raji Krishnan.
Okay, and you tested her, so you speak Tamil.
I speak Tamil. I just, out of curiosity, I went and told her, can you count? She was able to count 1 to 10.
Wow.
Some 2-3 things when I asked her in Tamil, she was able to reply to that.
In Tamil or in English?
In Tamil.
In Tamil?
Yeah. No, when I asked her the question, she understood the question.
Okay.
Are you asking this?
Oh, wow.
And it was immediate. She asked her, you asked me, are you sleepy? You asked me, did you eat?
Yeah.
It was
and
amazing.
then she got a little scared of that.
Well, one person tested her earlier and asked her, Yepidi Irukinga. And I learned that word consciously. I've studied some Tamil. So when she didn't say anything, I said, Nala Irukan. Then she said, no, Ma, I'm not just doing good, I'm doing really, really good. Then she said in Tamil the sentence for I'm doing really, really good. We all just got a shock. These Balasants who tested her were jumping up and down. And it takes a lot to impress a Balasant because they manifest all of these powers. Thank you, Ma. Perfect timing for you to walk over.
It was all orchestrated,
Yes, all orchestrated. So tomorrow I'm going to interview her in a video just like this one.
Yeah.
Because coming from a scientific background, she actually said she found Swamiji on YouTube And her first reaction was she wants to believe him, but her whole scientific training is too ingrained in her. She's a big skeptic. So she said she came to this program with a clear inner decision. Either I manifest the powers or the powers are fake. And she said she decided even if everybody else in the hall does it, she won't believe it. They could be cheating, they could be faking, they could be pretending. She said her exact words in her inner voice to Swamiji were, unless I do it, I won't believe it. You have to make me do it. If I do it, I will be your strongest public speaker and activist. If I don't do it, I'm never coming back.
And now
she's done it. Oh my god.
Literally downloading a complex ancient language with no background in
She's
it.
downloaded Tamil. She said she knows her DNA carries it.
Yes.
And Swamiji said when you are initiated by a living avatar, whatever memory was held by your ancestors, for example, your ancestors are Rishi Munis, they recorded some of the Vedas. The moment that strand of DNA awakens, you'll be able to recite those Vedas.
Wow.
So for her ancestors were very clearly proficient in speaking Tamil.
Yes.
Now so is she.
Yes.
One of the Balasans who tested her said one specific word she used is no longer used in the modern Tamil vernacular. She said it's an extremely rare word that's only used by, very high spiritual discourse. But she used it. And so they're saying it's not modern Tamil slang. It's nothing she could have picked up by hearing other participants.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good interview, guys. That's one for your brother-in-law.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, miracles are happening here like that all the time here. It's amazing. Any corner you walk in this room, you hear some story, and you're like, oh my god, is that possible?
I know.
And the coolest thing is, it's possible for them. It's possible for you too.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole reason we're talking this. We're not just bragging about all of our powers. It's not like, look what I can do. Look what I can do. This is our invitation. So if you want to be able to move an object through the power of your third eye, if you want to look at someone and know their pulse, know their blood group, know what's their blood sugar, whether it's too high, too low, and then through the third eye lower it. If you want to be able to change somebody's hair color, dude, yesterday I changed 5 people's hair colors from the gray roots to the black roots so that their roots would match the dye.
Wow.
And I suddenly realized afterwards, it's not just making gray hair black again. All the qualities of youth will come back along with the black hair. And see, what makes hair gray is when the vitamins and nutrients needed to provide the pigmentation are no longer supplied by the body. And so it doesn't waste its energy coloring the hair. Gray hair isn't the color, it's just the strand of hair without any color. When the color gets produced again, it means the full health is there in the body again. If you want that kind of a power, Swamiji will give it to you at Mahasiddhashivoham. And the next one starts March 31st.
That's right. And the cool thing is we're just beginning. There's so much more to explore. The powers are just at the baseline level right now.
So come on, be here for March Mahasiddhashivoham. And as you manifest more powers, maybe we'll do this again. I could talk to you all night. We'll do a follow-up, maybe on your channel.
Yeah, we'll see you again.
See you, Nityanandam.
Bye.
See you in March.